So all of a sudden now, because of the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, the murder by Mohammed bin Salman, who obviously directed it, because you can't really pee in the wind in Saudi Arabia without the authorities knowing about it. That's how the society runs there. So everybody knows he was involved in it. And there's no direct evidence, but all the circumstantial is. And as the president said, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. We'll never know. Either way, I'm not going to really deal with the guy, but I am going to go forward with our policies, and that makes sense. But all of a sudden, these senators running around feigning outrage about this Yemeni civil war and our involvement in it. Now, let me just give you the facts here. We have been supporting the Saudis in this war for 4 years. 4 years. Not 4 days, not 4 weeks, not 4 months. 4 years. Fact one. Fact two. Barack Obama got us in this war. Why? Because when Barack Obama made the deal with the Iranians, and remember when he sent over $2 billion cash on pallets, made the deal with the Iranians, right? Well, the Saudis, who were an ally of ours, were very upset over it because Iranians were their enemy. And so in order to placate the Saudis, Obama agreed to help the Saudis in their effort to drive the Iranian-backed Houthis out of Yemen. So Obama got us in the war 4 years ago. Trump campaigned to get us out. That was part of his campaign platform. Get out of these Middle Eastern conflicts. Get out. America first. Build roads, not bomb Yemen. He gets in there. He gets elected. They bring in all the warmongers come in. All the generals come in. The military-industrial complexers, right? The neocons, the General McMaster of the skies. They all come in, and they talk them out of it. They say, we have to support the Saudis because without that, the Houthis will take over Yemen, and they'll give the Iranians a stronghold, and all these reasons. So the president says, okay, well, I guess we'll just stay there for now. But this has been going on for 4 years. We are supplying their airplanes, and the U.S. has been supporting the Yemeni Emirates coalition in Yemen against the Houthis, who control about a third of the territory. And the Iranians back them. And Saudi Arabia spent billions and billions of dollars to the Iranians millions. So it's just a disaster. 17 million people are starving. Kids are starving. 50,000 people are dead. This is a humanitarian crisis beyond the pale. Just a month ago, with our refueling of the Saudi planes with U.S. bombs, the Saudis blow up a school bus. Then they blow up a market, killing hundreds of innocent people and children. This 3 months ago, before Khashoggi. Did you hear a peep out of one of these senators? Did you hear a single word from Bob Menendez or Lindsey Graham or the other neocons there? Did you hear a word? Did you hear CNN screaming about it? Did you hear Fox News hollering about it? MSNBC? CBS? Anybody? You heard me. I've been complaining about our involvement in Yemen for 4 years. But you never heard a word from the senators. They never said anything. They just went about their business. In fact, every time you tried to get an AUMF authorization for military force renewed, so you have a debate on the floor, so Yemen would have come up, what happened? McConnell tabled it. Ryan tabled it. They buried it. Tim Kaine has been calling for it for 6 years. Every single time the Senate had or the House had an opportunity to debate this war, they deep-sixed it because they didn't want to go on the record of even having to make a decision. And then Mohammed bin Salman, who is a madman, who is incompetent, who is impetuous, who is impulsive, and who is a disaster, allegedly assassinates Khashoggi, and now all of a sudden there's outrage on this war, and they're having hearings, and they're going to pull the funding, and all that stuff. But here's my question. And, maybe, unfortunately, Jamal Khashoggi had to be the catalyst for this. But my question to you is this. Why? Why wasn't this addressed 4, 3, 2, 1, or 6 months ago? Why? Because they're feckless, cowardly weasels. They didn't want to take it up. They didn't want to have to explain it. They didn't want to have to defend it. They didn't want to take a vote on it. They didn't want to be seen anywhere near it. But now that they have Jamal Khashoggi and they can feign their outrage over this, feign it, outrage, now all of a sudden they have Khashoggi. Now they have a reason to get on TV. Give me a break. I mean, we got allies. Look, I'm not defending this, and I think the best thing the Saudi kingdom can do, have a reshuffling of leadership, because Mohammed bin Salman is incompetent. And you can't do business with a guy that behaves in this manner. You just can't. You can do business with the government, KSA. You just can't do business with him. You can't even take his phone call. So they got all kinds of problems there. I mean, he's certainly not going to be in this forum that I'm at. Nobody will talk to the guy. And you can't blame them. But where were these senators? Ask yourself. It's their job. Now, you can't blame Tim Kaine because he's been screaming about it for 6 years. But what about these other people? Now they're all on TV. What's this guy saw today on Al Jazeera being interviewed from Maryland? Who's that senator, the new guy? Van Hollen. He's outraged now. Where the hell was he last year? Nowhere. It is just mind-boggling that our representatives can hide behind Khashoggi, and now they want action on our involvement in the Yemeni civil war, which we had no business being involved in from day one. And let me tell you something else. This idea that the Saudis have this military that can buffer the Iranians, these guys couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. They can't fly an airplane unless we refuel them. And let me give a shout out to somebody else besides Tim Kaine, and that's Rand Paul. He's been complaining about this for 4 years also. Nobody even gave him a soundbite in 4 years. But now all of a sudden, because they have cover, now it's the outrage of the day, and there's hearings, and they're going to show the president how tough they are. Yet before Khashoggi, they didn't do crap. 17 million people starving to death, kids eating leaves off trees in famine, malnourished. They didn't do a damn thing. But now all of a sudden, because Khashoggi got chopped up by a chainsaw and put in acid, now we're outraged. Unbelievable. This is the most corrupt town in America. And what I have witnessed by these senators is one of the most outrageous, cowardly things I've ever seen in my life.